So, well, excuse me, good morning. Welcome to Commissioners Court. We appreciate you all being here with us today. And before we get started, we have Brother Gibbons with us to lead us in our invocation, and Commissioner McCann, the pledges, please.
Heavenly Father, we come this morning giving you thanks and praise because you're worthy and deserving of. Thanking you for being a very present help in the time of trouble. Look upon the Commissioners Court this morning. I judge the commissioners. Look upon everyone that's a part of this Henderson County Commissioner government. Bless and strengthen each one to do their part and do it in a way that is pleasing unto thee. In Jesus' name I pray and ask these blessings. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
honor and praise this flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Mr. Gibbons, thank you, sir. Very good. All right. Well, again, welcome. We appreciate y'all being here with us. The time is 9:02. We do have a quorum, so we will call this meeting of Commissioners Court to order. Are there any citizens' comments?
No, sir.
Item number 1, consider and take action on minutes from previously held meeting of Commissioners Court held on March the 12th, 2024. Are there any additions, deletions, or comments?
Hearing none, Judge, I move we approve the Commissioners Court's minutes for March 12, 2024 as presented.
I'll second his motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Tooley and second by Commissioner Spivey to approve the minutes of Commissioners Court held on March the 12th, 2024 as presented. All those in favor of the motion? And passes unanimously. Item number 2 is consider and take action on a request for refund of overpayment of taxes from the Henderson County Tax Assessor Collector.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I only have one refund check today, and it is for $5,530.09.
Court, questions? Hearing none, entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the tax refund check as presented.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Richardson, second by Commissioner McCann, to approve the request for refund of overpayment of taxes from the Henderson County Tax Assessor Collector as presented. All those in favor of the motion? It passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Item number 3, consider and take action on Henderson County 911 Communication District's budget for the fiscal year of May 1, 2024 to April 30th of 2025. And this morning with us, we have the Executive Director of our 911 District, Mr. Bart Brown. How you doing, Mr. Brown?
Good. How about you?
Cannot complain.
Good morning. Does anybody have any questions they want to start off with? Or do you want me just to dig in?
Just dig right in.
All right. I guess the only thing we can say outside, as normal is costs are going up and revenues are going down. But we were at the legislation session before last, we were awarded a federal 911 grant for $1 million. So we're using that to kick off some projects that we started back then that we haven't finished yet, and I'll get into those in a second. In the last legislative session, the Senate decided to use some of this budget surplus and created the Next Gen 911 Fund along with, as part of the broadband initiative. The legislature has appropriated $155 million for 911 in the state. We're waiting for that to flush out because the comptroller has to get the money and then award it to the State 911 Commission, who's tasked with distributing it. According to the calculations right now, our agency would receive about $760,000. The only earmark for that is it has to be used to do Next Gen 911, which is a project we started about a year ago. And we should finish sometime this year. So that's how we're going to survive the shortfall in funds for the next few years, is with those two grants.
Many do not know that Henderson County has its own 911 district.
Right.
That isn't the norm across the state. There's larger designated within COGS, COG size, council of governments things. Could you speak to some of that to maybe better educate the public about our particular circumstances?
Sure. Back when the legislature decided they would make 911 the number to use for emergency services, which is about 1987, there were three ways to take care of 911 in funding. Become a part of the state program, which was historically the COGS, Council of Governments, or create your own district. And that district could be a county, a group of counties, or what they called then municipal emergency communications districts, which are cities. For example, City of Dallas is its own 911 district. The City of Highland Park is its own 911 district. And then emergency communication districts like Henderson County, Bear Metro, to Harris County. We go the whole gamut, those districts are managed by a board of managers. They do not depend on the state legislature to give money or the state 911 commission to appropriate money. The service providers, telephone service providers, collect the 911 fees and then remit them directly to the district. We then take those funds and use them as we're allowed to by legislation, because we do operate underneath Health and Safety Code 772.1, I believe, which lays out what we can spend money on and what we can't, and tells us how to create a board of managers, who has to be on it. Our board of managers has 6 people on it, 2 appointed by the commission, y'all, 2 appointed by the mayors of the cities in the county, and 1 from the fire department, the fire marshals, fire chiefs association, and 1 from the prevailing telephone service provider. Now, that position's been vacant for quite a while because that's how many times the local telephone servers had changed names, and they don't apply. But that was a non-voting member anyway. Back in the old days, you needed the phone company on there because everything was done through them. So far this year, we started our project for migrating to the Next Gen 911 system. We started that a little over a year ago. We hope to cut that into service this summer. That will take the old way of routing 911 calls, which was analog. The switches have been around. We put the first one in service in Texas in 1991. And they have been sitting there doing, and they're rock solid, but you can't buy parts. And finding people who can work on them is a little bit tough. So we'll migrate to what they call the Next Gen, which is an IP-based solution to provide calls, but from the caller to our system. Like I said, that'll be done sometime this summer. We've also, last year, we implemented location-based 911 routing for wireless calls. Wireless calls historically were routed by, according to the cell face that received the call from caller. And routing to the proper 911 entity has always been an issue because a cell face is a pie, and what we had to do is determine the majority of the likelihood of where that call needs to be routed, and we routed to that. In this area, 90% of those calls went to Henderson County Sheriff's Office. This year, we cut them all over last February. The three major carriers, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile, now route wireless 911 calls based on the location of the caller. So far, and like I said, Verizon was the last one to cut, and they cut in February. We've seen about a 30% drop in transfers of calls between agencies. Because, of course, if Henderson County got the call and they were inside the city limits Athens, we were transferring that call over to Athens. Same way with gun barrel. So that's really helped us because it reduces the time that the caller gets service instead of being answered in one place and then transferred to another. The next gen system, when it's up, will route all wireless calls based on location. So those ones that are not the big three, we'll implement that location-based routing for them as well. While this all, regardless of my planning, all my projects ended up being on top of each other versus one right after the other, which I had really planned. So at this, yeah, it just works. I should have just planned them all at once, and then they would have happened staggered. But we are also in the process of upgrading all of the network from our call equipment to the 911 centers. They were all running on 1.5 to 3 megabits circuits. We have to upgrade those to handle the work and the system and be ready for the future. So we're in the process of upgrading those. We've done my office, which we did as a test to make sure it worked the way we thought it would. We cut gun barrel 2 weeks ago. We're waiting to repair a conduit at the sheriff's office before we can pull the new fiber into it. And then at the police department, we'll cut them to the new circuit when they're into their new building. And of course, that was one of the other things, projects that we're working with them to get that new police station round up and get 911 in there as well. So that's about all I had to cover. Don't know if y'all have any more questions or that created more questions. But.
Court, questions, comments?
I know there's certain ways that y'all have to spend your money, but we sure appreciate how y'all have worked with the county and with the cities in the area with this new system we have, this new dispatch system and the new radio system. I think it's all went pretty smooth, and we appreciate the work y'all done in conjunction with us.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to help. Like I said, whatever makes the call taker's job easier, we're more than happy to help with. And of course, if that helps everybody else. So.
Yeah, I think we've all went and took a tour of the new dispatch stations and stuff, and I think they all appreciate what y'all done and upgrades and stuff like that in there. Everything looks great, so new systems.
Thank you for all you do.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, in closing on this, few of the better decisions made in our past was the creation of this single district.
Oh, actually.
Without the single district, as you mentioned, the funding would go to the state first and then be sent back. And it never comes back in the same volume as of which it went. And it has also allowed for the most local control you could have in representing the needs of Henderson County. There's difficulties with all of them in rural Texas. As you said, implementing the next gen and those issues that we struggle across the state. But we appreciate everything that the local district does, from helping us, as you said, with the dispatch stations, to I saw in there where y'all helped Trinidad Fire Department with some radio equipment recently, pretty substantial amount. So the work of the 911 district goes often unsung, so thank you.
Appreciate it. Again, if you have any questions, just give me a holler.
Thank you, sir. Given that presentation, we'll entertain a motion on the Henderson County 911 Communication District budget for the fiscal year May 1, 2024 to April 30, 2025.
I move to accept that budget.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner McCam, seconded by Commissioner Tooley, to accept the Henderson County 911 Communication District budget for the fiscal year of May 1, 2024 to April 30, 2025 as presented. All those in favor of the motion? It passes unanimously. Item number 4, consider and take action on grant agreement for the Rural Prosecutor's Office Salary Assistance. Grant award number IA, as always, a lot of zeros, and 335. For the District Attorney's Office. Ms. Vaughn.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. This is the last and final grant agreement for the Rural Law Enforcement Salary Assistant Program. This goes to the District Attorney's Office, and it's for $275,000. This agreement outlines the terms of the grant, what it's to be used for, how we'll comply, and that's about it.
Court, questions? This one is slightly different. It's the same process, but it's a little bit different because of the district attorney is the signing entity on this, given that the district attorney, not here, is a state employee that is handled here at the county. This is a way for us, following the same process with this one as we have with the others, with the court recognizes it in our budget so that we will end up administering this grant. So be happy to answer any questions on it. This one is
100,000, excuse me.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
$275,000. Sorry.
Court, questions?
And it's for a year?
I believe that this will come up twice, right? Yeah.
Yeah, these follow the state budget. So they're 2-year agreements, the one with the DA, CA, and Sheriff's Office, because this is all state funded, known as SB 22. No different than the previous two that we've been through court.
Yeah, well, this one's, I mean, should it say 2025 or 2024? On page 2, underneath the term?
They will end up sending us the funding every year.
Oh, okay.
But it is, we will do these every year.
I got you. Okay.
But it is for a 2-year cycle.
Do we just administer this? Do they disperse it?
We disperse it through our budget process. If you'll remember right, we took that in consideration when we passed the 2024 budget. We recognize it as a revenue line, but all 3 of them. And then they are distributed according to our budget process, salary rise at the direction of the offices. There was quite a bit of work put into each of the 3 offices of distributing that and allocating it to where the design to best help them. Because it is a grant to assist with the funding. And as you all know, rural prosecutors are few and far between. Basically on the issue that they make more money elsewhere. The state recognized that in passing SB 22. We'll see how long it stays. Anything further? Entertain a motion.
I'd like to, excuse me, I'd like to make the motion to approve with the district attorney's signature.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Spivey, second by Commissioner Richardson, to approve the grant agreement for the Rural Prosecutor's Office Salary Assistant Grant Award number IA 335 for the District Attorney's Office with District Attorney's authorization signed. All those in favor of the motion? Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Item number 5 is consider and take action on the departmental request of an additional employee for the Justice of the Peace Precinct 2. And this morning we have Judge Pollock with us. And Judge, if you'll give me just a moment, put it down the screen. Judge.
All right. Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Thank you for letting me speak here today. I'm Kevin Pollock. I'm the Justice of the Peace for Precinct 2. I'm here this morning to plead my case to allow an additional clerk to be hired to help with the increased workload that my 2 clerks have admirably endured these past couple of years. Next slide. However, the workload has gotten to the point that it's sort of breaking them down a little bit. Small things that used to just brush off have now become sources of anxiety and meltdowns. I've witnessed that, and we had a meeting and tried to determine what was going on, and it basically boiled down to the fact that they seem overwhelmed now. And then so I asked them to put together some data to see if we had the what I believe to be a cause to request an additional clerk be hired. And after reviewing the data, I believe that their request for help is warranted. And I hope that you will also see that they most definitely need an additional clerk. Next slide. So why do we think there's such an increase? Well, in my opinion, there are several reasons that are contributing to our increase. Next. It's no secret that the Dallas population is running out of room to expand, and the only direction left is to come east. We already see the signs of growth. Construction of new businesses, new homes, and road expansions along 175 are now the norm. The judge just sent us an email recently showing that Kaufman is the #1 growing county in the United States. Van Zandt and Henderson are in line because we're right next door. And the JP2 line touches both Kaufman and Van Zandt. My jurisdiction, next slide, please. Yep, there you go. Thank you. My jurisdiction includes not only the most of the surrounding communities on the half of the Cedar Creek Lake that are north of the spillway, but also portions of Maybank that's within Henderson County. The increase in homes being built in both of those areas is absolutely amazing. Next slide. This also caused what I believe to be a blight upon the rental home market for families who cannot afford to buy homes. Corporations have started buying up rental homes from home builders and from the mom and pop rental homeowners. They install management companies whose only purpose is to maximize corporate profits. All payments are taken through an online portal. They have zero tolerance for late payments, and they won't take partial payments. And then they also have started the practice of posting the next month's rent into their tenants' accounts prior to the actual due date. So if you have a tenant that's still catching up for the current month, they can't because the corporation has posted next month's rent prior to the due date. And now the tenant has only one option. They have to pay both the current month and make an early payment for the next month's, or it will be denied, because they are considered now partial payments, even though the next month's rent really isn't due. This most recent trend has the potential to increase the workload even further. I personally had 12 cases in a row that took up my entire morning. There was this corporation that has bought up a lot of the rental homes in this area. And that's how I discovered this practice. Was each one was telling me that pretty much the same story as they're going along, and I finally was able to figure out what was happening. And in my mind, that's it's a punishment to renters in our area. Next slide, please. Another factor for the increase in workload has been the increase in traffic tickets written by DPS troopers. I believe that the new influx of troopers who are no longer retired while on duty Their hands-on supervisor, along with their new ticket writing technology, has allowed them to increase the number of traffic tickets that they write. The technology allows them to stop more vehicles because the time it takes to write a ticket is significantly less than it used to be when they used to do everything by hand. Next slide, please. Next one. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I stepped over. The final factor, I guess I messed up my slides here. The final factor was increase in raising the jurisdictional limits from 10,000 to 20,000 in September of 2021. And although I didn't see as many cases as I thought I would see immediately once that change occurred, we are beginning to get a lot more of those types of cases that are above the $10,000 jurisdictional limit, and a lot more car repos, things of that nature. Okay, so I may have mentioned that we had a significant increase in our caseload, but it's kind of hard to comprehend until you actually see a visual representation, which you see in front of you now. This is why I'm here today before you. This chart represents the 3 JP courts who currently employ 2 clerks. JP1 is in blue. JP2 is represented in, I guess, kind of an orangey color there. And JP5, I guess we'll just call it kind of an off brown or something like that. But anyway, this chart represents all the Class A misdemeanors, all the debt claims, evictions, and small claims cases that all JPs hear on a regular basis. These are our meat and potatoes cases, if you will. And as you can see, we almost doubled the caseload of JP1 and JP5 in 2023. And for the first 2.5 months of 2024, JP2 actually has more debt claim cases filed in these 2.5 months than JP1 had in each of their previous 3 years. So we had more filed. Well, for example, we currently have 120 debt claims filed. In 2023, JP1 had 111. So this is just 2.5 months. We've already outpaced their last year's total cases for debt claims. And the same thing for 2022 and 2021. Next, please. From my perspective, the addition of another court clerk to help alleviate the workload that's been heaped upon the 2 current clerks is the only possible solution to our problem. Ideally, I would prefer to have another full-time employee, but at the very minimum, I feel I need a clerk who can work at least 24 hours per week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday is my preference. I realize that this is not a cheap solution, but I believe it's one that is necessary in order for us to continue to provide the quality of service that our citizens have come to expect from our court personnel. I also don't want this position to be one that becomes a revolving door. It needs to be a competitive compensation package that attracts competent people. I thank you for your time, and I'm willing to answer any questions you may have.
Court, questions?
On one of our backup documents from JP, or that has your cases, does and I don't, the depositions, but would any of those cases include the in JP5 the school?
The truancy? No, but the truancy cases in 2020 for JP5, that would have added 101 cases to their 2024 or 2023 totals. It would have added 59 cases to their 2023 or 2022, and 63 to their 2021. Still, we would outpace them by quite a bit.
If you would speak toward the truancy, we have a truancy court based on a law change 10 years, 10, 12 years?
Yeah, it's been since I've been, I think it was right at the beginning of my, so it almost 10 years ago. They changed the rules. All JPs used to do truancy cases. Well, then they decided that they could, the laws changed where they said you had to have a consolidated, one court would be in charge of truancy cases for children. And we still hear truancy cases for parents contributing. All courts hear those. But just for the ones about the children themselves, JP5 has been the designated court to handle that. And basically that's because Judge Barnett was in charge back at the time, and with his school experience, it was kind of logical that court take it. But they've remained the JP that has been in charge of all truancies, and they can have it. I don't want anything to do with that. God bless them over there in JP5 for taking those cases, because they're not easy.
Judge, speak to the jurisdictional limits change.
So a couple of sessions ago, when I came aboard back in 2015, the jurisdictional limit for all JPs was $10,000, whether it be a debt claim case, whether it be an eviction or small claims. Anything over $10,000 could not be heard in the JP court. And back as of September 21st, 2021, September 1st, 2021, the jurisdictional limits were raised by the Texas legislature to $20,000. And so at first, as I said previously, at first I thought we were going to have just a giant influx of cases, but it's been just a buildup. So it's as they've I think as they've come along, we're starting to see more and more that are over the $10,000 mark. And a lot of those are basically involve cars and things like that. We don't see a whole lot of credit cards with that much. It's mainly dealing with vehicles and furniture, appliances, things like that.
I can see probably the need for some assistance over there because of the nature of the growth. I know the rental properties over there are growing considerably. Mm-hmm. And then the traffic that comes in on the weekends, I'm sure there's tickets are going up. My only question is, during budget, I think there was a question about maybe hiring somebody part-time to take care of somebody that was going to retire.
That was 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Right. And she did end up retiring.
But during the budget for this year, none of this was brought up.
Right.
Was it?
No, it was not.
So, Ms. Lee, Ms. Monk, excuse me, this is probably in the range of $50,000 with pay and benefits.
Whether we go part-time or a full-time position, yes, it's going to be significant. Finding the money at this time of the year is going to be difficult for early in the year. I already have concerns about indigent defense, as always. That's really out of control. The jail is full, which means we have problems with cafeteria supplies and medical care over there. And juvenile is a problem once again. They've got children that are out of control over there. They're needing secure placement. That's expensive. So my biggest concern here is finding the budget moving, depending on what direction the court goes. I understand the need though, so I mean, I will find the money if the court approves it. I've talked to some other offices that back what he's saying, that they are being slammed. It's just unmanageable.
One of my clerks is actually taking work home with her, and she's working off books.
And to be competitive, and this is just because it takes all of us, but if we said let's do a part-time to finish the year off, and then during budget this year we work out a full-time, to be competitive, what do you think the part-time pay would have to be? I haven't done any study as to what is 15 an hour.
I would say at least 14, maybe. Maybe 15. I don't know. Like I say, I didn't do any study to see what it was around here. I just didn't have time to do that. But what I do think that if you, I mean, obviously 15 around here is pretty good for someone, and you might. I think I could, hopefully get somebody who's very competent to stay on that. The only thing I just want to make sure that it just doesn't become something that somebody just takes and then they're on, they're not any good, and we have to get them out of here, or they find something else that's paying more.
Well, I think if we continue to see this trend of growth in the area and ticket writing and rental problems, I think it's something that during the workshop this summer on our budgets that we could, make a decision on one way or the other, and that way they would know, whoever your part-time employee was, if we did part-time, which this is just hypothetical for me, but if we did part-time, they would know that, in January they're going to have a full-time job.
Exactly. Yeah, and maybe you could.
That's the only thing I worry about is just.
And maybe you could start them, with, and let them know that if we think it's going to go into a full-time job, maybe, we don't have to go like $15. Maybe we can do something else, and then with them knowing that if they get hired and they stay on.
It could be a possibility is all we could say, because then it has to go through budget and then that.
Right. Exactly.
Do the vote.
And if I had known that if they had made me aware of this beforehand, because I wasn't even aware of it, I would have certainly tried to get this into the current budget cycle. But
I'm just concerned, just like this
I totally
early
understand.
in the year, of us, if it was October, we'd probably know if we was going to have some money left over.
Sure.
Yeah. This is March. So anyway, it's just my thoughts on it.
Right. I understand.
Let's just say, or Ms. Monk said about the $50,000, if that's what it's going to be, so there'd be no benefits or anything like that.
Well, there's DCDRS, of course, your FICA, you have to pay those. And then we'll also need, a workstation.
Well, that was my next
those are
question.
fixed costs, so once we're there with those, we're done.
Yeah.
So that doesn't concern me.
That was my next question, is what kind of office supplies?
Yeah, obviously, you need a computer. They could run off the current printers that we have. So I think it's basically just a workstation for the most part, a workstation and a scanner. That's probably about it as far as additional. I can't remember if I think there's a phone on that back desk. I'm not 100% sure, but I think there is. But I think that's pretty much as far as equipment that we would need. I think that's it.
And if we did a part-time at $15 an hour, just say 15 an hour, that would be, to finish the year out, be $18,700. And then you got to buy the office supplies, computers and all that stuff. So you're still looking at about 25, probably, maybe a little more.
I see that the two employees that you have, one's been there 20-plus years, and the other one's coming up on 20 years pretty quick. So I know they've got substantial vacation time that they take off. So I can see that you're probably missing every now and then throughout the year when they take vacation and stuff, and you're needing somebody to fill in for them for part-time. But also look at two of the other JPs on the east end's only got one clerk apiece. Would you be willing to your third person be a floater to go down and serve at their office on a day that one of their employees has got to take vacation or sick day?
I mean, we're certainly open to doing things, and I know that's been tried before. JP5 was they hired a quote unquote floater that basically just ended up being a permanent part of the JP5 staff.
I think they still go down, because I've seen where we pay mileage for them to go to JP4, the employees from 5. Which they've got 2 new employees now too also, I think. So they're in training. So, but that was one of my concerns too, because there's a lot of times I think that there's a vacant office down there when they're off or got a sick kid or something like that. And I know that happens, with all the JP offices. There's nothing you can do about it. But That's what I was looking at too, if you didn't have them busy that day and one of the other ones called on the east end and needed somebody to fill in for the office for that day, if that was a possibility also.
If our third one could?
Yes, third one, if it's a part-time.
Sure. I would imagine that if they needed somebody for that particular day to fill in, I'm sure they could.
Mm-hmm.
But, I would hope that that's not I hope that's not a prevalent thing to happen, because we desperately need them to work in this office.
And it could be a day if we.
But we're willing to work with anybody, just try to make it happen. Sure.
Judge, one thing that comes up from the public a lot is availability at these offices. Could you go into that discussion? Many of the calls that we get are about the office not being open.
Okay.
Could you speak to?
Sure. So our office hours are from 8 to 12, and from 1 to 4:30, Monday through Thursday. From 4:30 to 5, the doors are locked, but the clerks are still working. They work an 8-hour day as a minimum. Some of them work longer, even though they don't claim it. So, but they are still there even though the doors close at 4:30. On Friday, we are closed to the public. We are not closed. We're just closed to the public, and we are there from the same time. They work an 8-hour day. On Friday. They're just behind closed doors, and they don't answer the phone. And the reason for that is so that they can catch up on paperwork. They're still working. If they take time off on those days, you can see it in their time sheets that they have taken off a couple of hours here and there, whatever, for whatever reason. So we're still there. We're still working for the county, but our office is closed to the public. And if they have any, and most of them know that if there is something due that day or something that they get to the next business day, or they can put it in the night deposit box that we have, things of that nature. So that we have plenty of ways. No one's penalized for us being closed on Friday.
Court, any further questions? Discussion? The discussion about the part-time, given we are partway into the fiscal year, would be the one that I would think would be the first option in this, because we are. I mean, we work in an era of SB2, which set a revenue cap of 3.5% off of ad valorem taxation. And I'll go into this because it does affect us greatly when you're looking at the annual increase in costs, even without the growth. We can bring in about a little over $1 million in new revenue from existing values. Well, we spend about $500,000 a year just off increased operating expenses. So that leaves us with about $500,000 to meet the expanding needs, not growth in operating costs, but in expanding needs. And when you have counties that Kaufman County, Ellis County is another one that is growing very quickly.
Which I also border.
Yes, you do border Ellis County as well. But we've got some real challenges coming to us to be able to meet these growing needs in the coming years. We have been a very, very conservative county in our expenditures. But the growth in the cost of business is going to go up, so that we're going to struggle for the next 4 or 5 years to meet those needs without going into debt. $1 million for, what are we, 30 million, I think, is what our ad valorem taxation brings in, right at $30 million. So when you look at it, costs right at $1 million to give a normal raise to every single county employee. You can see that the expenses are going to vastly outstretch our ability to generate revenue. But that's why, leading into that, I saw it as an opportunity to tell about our limitations and why I think that part-time would be the best option at this point, because the numbers bear out what we're seeing.
Well, did we move most of our part-time payers to a certain pay? Part-time employees?
It varies through the county. Usually we just have a dollar amount. And there's a few departments where y'all have set the hourly rate. But most of them, it's just kind of whatever's in their budget, and they need to calculate what the rate should be and how many hours a week or the year they're expecting that person to work. So, but there have been cases where y'all have set the hourly rate.
We kind of tried to bring in our part-time, kind of what the standard was, and I can't remember what that was. In this particular instance, and it gives us an opening to discuss the changing nature of the JP clerks. And I say clerks, they have evolved in the 20 some odd years I've been around. They do the work of, if there's a jury, they've got to do the work of the district clerk or county clerk when it comes to jury summonses and so forth. They cross a gambit of many things. They have evolved to a point too that they have many different expertise that they've got to have that cross other department's responsibility, and a lot of it's because of their remote location that they are in. And even JP1 has to do a lot of administrative work that the normal courts would have been done by other departments. So there is that is changing in the times. What's our base?
36.5.
36.5. You know, you're seeing more of that evolution. So we can, if the court desires, Ms. Monk, correct me if I'm wrong, we can bless this because we're going to have budget amendments.
I'll have to do a budget amendment, so I need to know a rate and basically how many hours this person will be limited to a week, and then we can do a budget amendment next week.
By policy, they can't go over 25, I believe is what we set when the Affordable Care Act
There's been some flexibility.
changed the rules.
Please don't do that.
That's it changed the rules on part-time.
Obamacare is effective.
It did. It
This
said
is why we said that as a limit.
It said 30 hours was considered for that full-time,
32.
32.
So we didn't want to push that on.
And we set that limit by policy all those years ago, somewhere in the 20s range, to ensure that we didn't go overboard. And what happened to my computer? Nice. Sorry. So, okay. So you need guidance today on the dollar amount?
And the hourly week work week.
Okay.
And then I think there's some type of limitation in there for the budget.
I can't remember what our policy is. I remember it being 24, but it may have been 26.
We've always worked off of 24.
24? Okay. 24 hours and hourly rate.
15 an hour would be,
Very good.
20 a pay period.
Okay.
That's a little less than what the full-time employee would make. The full-time employee makes about 18.
$17.59 if one.
I think that'd be more than fair.
Well, I'll make the motion to add a part-time employee to precinct 2 JP office at $15 an hour,
For 24 hours.
24 hours a week.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner McCann, second by Commissioner Tooley, to approve the request of an additional part-time employee for JP Precinct 2 at a rate of, what, $15 per hour. Any further discussion?
24 hours a week.
I think that's going to be handled by policy. Anything further? All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Judge, thank you.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate your time.
All right. Well, looks like I'm going to have to work for my iPad, so please bear with me. Item number 6, consider and take action on the appointment of Henderson County Constable Precinct 4. Court, as you are aware, our current constable had submitted his resignation effective a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago, I believe.
12.
Pardon?
March 12th.
March 12th. And we've gone through the recent election process where there is one individual that has been put forward by the Republican Party candidate. He does not face a opposition in the general election, and Mr. Paul Elsey. And at this point in time, what we're looking for here and asking the court to do is to go ahead and make an appointment, given our current situation. Mr. Elsey was not able to be with us here today, and we wanted to move forward and get this taken care of if the court desired to do so. So, be happy to answer what questions I can. Commissioner, it's in your precinct.
Yes, and if we make this appointment, he'll actually be finishing out Mr. Floyd's term until the end of the year. Then he would begin his new term until January the 1st.
Yes, sir. And he has all the credentials.
He's already got his TICO license and all that stuff, so I think he's ready to go. Probably with probably a few constable trainings and stuff that he'll probably have to go to that are coming up.
Court, questions, comments? Hearing none, entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Mr. Paul Elsey to the position of Constable JP4 to finish out the...
Constable.
Did I say Constable?
You said
JP. Constable JP4.
I do it all the time.
To finish out the 2024 term.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Richardson and second by Commissioner McCann to approve the appointment of Mr. Paul Elsey to complete the current term as Henderson County Constable Precinct 4. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Item number 7, consider and take action to set a public hearing for the partial closure of County Roads 2803 South and County Road 2805. This is located in Precinct 2. Commissioner.
Yes, Judge, this is to set a public hearing. A property owner has contacted my office and had a petition made to request a closure of these 2 roads. And so I would like to, at this time, set a public hearing for Tuesday, April the 16th, 2024, at a time that's suitable. 9:15 or 9:20.
Okay. Court, questions, discussion?
Are these dirt roads?
Yes.
The portions that you're.
The portion that we are, that they are asking to be closed.
Any other questions? Being that they are a dirt road, they're considered class 3 and eligible to be closed under this process. Okay. Any further comments or discussion?
You want 9:15 or 9:20?
Your call.
Judge, I move to take action to set a public hearing for a partial closure of County Road 2803 South and County Road 2805 for April the 16th at 9:15.
I'll second his motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Tooley and second by Commissioner Richardson to approve the setting of a public hearing for the partial closure of County Road 2803 South and County Road 2805 for April the 16th, 2024 at 9:15 a.m. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Item number 8, consider and take action to accept Red Bluff Loop and Indian Gap in the Cherokee Shore subdivision into Henderson County Precinct 2 annual road maintenance. Commissioner.
Yes, Court, this is back in, I believe, 2022. Cherokee Shores POA had come in and requested to take these 2 roads in, and they have completed the assignment. They hot mixed to a county standard and did to our roads and has chip sealed, and in your backup you can see some of the pictures that we went out and took I guess last week, and all the roads have held up fine, and they are ready to be accepted into our Henderson County Precinct 2 road maintenance.
Court, questions? If there are none, entertain a motion.
Do we do them at the same time?
You can.
Judge, I move we accept Red Bluff Loop and Indian Gap in the Cherokee Shore subdivision into the Henderson County Precinct 2 annual road maintenance program.
I'll second his motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Tooley and second by Commissioner Richardson to accept Red Bluff Loop and Indian Gap in the Cherokee Shore subdivision into the Henderson County Precinct 2 annual road maintenance. Any further discussion? I do have one question in the discussion part. The length.
Judge, I don't have that. I'm going to say they're probably somewhere between a half a mile to 7/10,
Okay.
somewhere in that neighborhood. I failed to put that in there.
It just occurred to me. The actual distance, we'll need to get that because part of Red Bluff Loop, I think, is already in, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Okay. We'll need to get that information later on. Just
Okay.
to put in.
I think I have it on the, when we did it in 2022. I just have to go find it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion? Passes unanimously.
Thanks, Court.
Thank you. Item 9 is receive financial reports, of which we have none. Item 10 is consider and take action on payroll distributions and accounts cash sheet, which we have none. Item 11 is consider and take action on submitted contracts. We have none. Item 12 is consider and take action on requests for right-of-way permits. And as you can see, we got quite a few. Yes? 2, 3, and 4. Commissioner Tooley.
Yes, Court. Mine is in the Indian Harbor subdivision on Cheyenne Trail and Ute Trail. They're installing a new Class 43 wood pole with all the necessary equipment on it to improve electrical service in this area. There's a lot of new builds going on in this area, new houses that are going in. Excuse me, and so it will not affect our right-of-way.
Questions for the commissioner? Entertain a motion.
Move we accept the proposed utility line activity for Encore Electric on Cheyenne Trail in the Indian Harbor subdivision with Commissioner's authorization to sign.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Tooley and seconded by Commissioner McCam to approve the right-of-way agreement with Encore Electric for installation of facilities along County Road Cheyenne Trail, with the Commissioner's authorization to sign. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Commissioner McCam?
I have one notice of a proposed utility line activity from Encore Electric Delivery. Back up here. County Road 3715, replacing a utility pole and putting in a new utility pole.
Excuse me, gentlemen.
Replacing a utility pole and we're replacing it with a new one.
Questions for the commissioner?
Hearing none, I move that we approve the notice of utility line activity for Encore for the replacement of a utility pole
I'll second his motion.
Your authorization.
with the commissioner's authorization.
Motion made by Commissioner McCam and seconded by Commissioner Richardson to approve the right-of-way agreement with Encore Electric Delivery for the installation of utility pole along County Road 3715 with the Commissioner's authorization to sign. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Commissioner Richardson.
Yes, Court, this utility line activity for Charter Spectrum. This first one here is actually one that has already been done. Commissioner McCam and I had a meeting with Charter Spectrum over starting their projects before they had permits. And this is one that they've done, and we're going to go ahead and go in here and ask for approval so we can have their plans filed in our minutes for the locations of the utilities are. Well, I drove over and checked, and everything was done like it was supposed to be, other than a few water lines and stuff that were hit here in construction. So that's what we're going to do here today. And these are on County Roads 4700, 4702, 4704, 05, 06, 4712, 4715, and 4800 in Country Lane. And they laid about 59,050 foot of underground conduit, 89 vaults, and 19 pedestals.
Questions for the commissioner? Hearing none, entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the utility line activity for Charter Spectrum to install 59,050 foot of underground conduit fiber optic cable, 89 vaults, and 19 pedestals on the mentioned roads located in Precinct 4 with the Commissioner's authorization to sign.
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Richardson, seconded by Commissioner Spivey to approve the right-of-way agreement with Charter Spectrum for the installation of fiber optic cable and associated facilities along the aforementioned county roads with the Commissioner's authorization to sign. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Item 13 is consider and take action on submitted budget amendments, which
I had a second one on that.
Oh, you did?
Same deal, yes, sir.
Oh, I apologize.
Thank you, Judge. The second one is utility line activity for Charter Spectrum. It's to lay 51,315 foot of underground conduit fiber optic, 54 vaults, and 11 pedestals within the right-of-way of county roads 4224, 4225, 4230, 4319, 4322, 4325, 4336, 4341, and 4350 located in Precinct 4.
Questions for the commissioner? Is that your motion, sir?
No questions. I'd like to make a motion for the proposed utility line activity for Charter Spectrum to install 51,315 foot of underground conduit and fiber optic cable, 54 vaults, 11 pedestals within the right-of-way of the mentioned county roads with the commissioner's authorization to sign.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Richardson, second by Commissioner McCann, to approve the right-of-way agreement with Charter Spectrum for the installation of fiber optic cable in the aforementioned facilities on the aforementioned county roads with the Commissioner's authorization to sign. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Now we'll go to item 13. Consider and take action on submitted budget amendments, which we have none. Item 14, consider and take action on payment of bills. Ms. Carpenter.
Yes, sir, we have two sets. Our first set is fiscal year 2024 in the amount of $761,591.65.
Commissioner Spivey, questions?
I have no questions, Judge.
Commissioner Tooley?
I have none.
Commissioner McCann?
I have no question.
Commissioner Richardson?
No questions, Judge.
Entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2024 bills in the amount of $761,591.65 as presented.
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Richardson, second by Commissioner Spivey, to approve the 24 bills in the amount of $761,591.65 as presented. All those in favor? Passes unanimously.
I have fiscal year 2023 in the amount of $4,813.60.
Court, questions concerning the 2023 bills? Hearing none, entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2023 bills in the amount of $4,813.60 as presented.
I'll second his motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Richardson, second by Commissioner Spivey, to approve the 2023 bills in the amount of $4,813.60 as presented. All those in favor of the motion? Passes unanimously. Item 15, consider and take action on submitted plats.
We have one plat in precinct 2 and all these are paid.
Commissioner Tooley.
Yes, Judge, this is a replat in the Pinnacle Club. And as you can see from the backup, the property owner had a fence installed and is 8 inches over into the homeowners association's property, and so they're requesting a replat to move that property line 8 inches.
That's 8 inches. What are you talking about in this area?
T1. It's hard to find. I'm sorry. It's 20.67.
Okay. Court, questions?
Hearing none, Judge, I move we approve the Pinnacle Club replat of Phase 1, Section B of Lot 191 and 449.
I'll second his motion.
Hang on a
We're not done
second.
with it yet.
That ain't a motion.
It's not a motion.
I move we approve the, I don't know why they're got Lot 191-R. Can we ask the property owner to come up here?
Yes, please. Mr. Hutchins, if you would, please come forward.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Thank you for your time and your consideration. So I own Lot 449-R1. My neighbor is Lot 191-R1, which are the Ed Weatherford. Well, when they bought that lot, when they surveyed it. The day I came home, they surveyed it, I realized that the far corner, it was 8 inches over. So I called him, worked out a deal to get by the 8 inches. It's been recorded, I own it. Had it redrawn for a replat. I built a retaining wall around my whole property, and I'm about 2 foot up on retaining wall. They poured the footing on the line. They put the brick haydock blocks, and when they put the rock on the outside, it threw it over into his property. But I didn't want to have an issue later, so I wanted to address it. But I am 8 inches off. That's in this far corner right here. And so I'm looking for an approval to get the replat done to make sure everything is copacetic.
So are both lots being affected by their original lot line?
Yes. That's why the replat's showing both of these lots, because I'm 8 inches. Let me walk up here so you can see. It's this corner right here where we intersect. It's got a double circle.
In this area?
Yes, sir. That's the 8 inches that I'm over.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I did send some pictures. I don't know if you have those loaded.
Yes, they are in the back. Our back.
Where you can kind of see where we're actually over there.
I was trying to figure out where T1 went up into the homeowner's deal, but now I see the original lot line to the new one.
The brown stake's the original lot line. The one with the flag on it's the difference. And they were only off on that one corner.
Court questions? Commissioner?
Judge, I move we approve the Pinnacle Club Phase 1, Section B, replat of Lot 191 and 449, creating Lot 191-R and Lot 449-R for filing purposes only.
I'll second his motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Tooley and seconded by Commissioner Richardson to approve the final replat of lots 191 R1 and 449 R1 in Pinnacle Club Phase 1, Section B for filing purposes only. All those in favor of the motion? Passes unanimously.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Item 16, open and consider bids.
Good morning. I have the 24 invitation for bid for a tire bid. The proposed dates I have is, if approved today, the first advertisement go this Saturday, March 23rd. Second advertisement go next Saturday, March 30th. I would open the bid Tuesday, April 9th, and bring it back to court on April 16th.
Court questions? Yes,
This was a little bit easier than it usually.
Sizes on there, because every year somebody puts the size and it's an issue. Please make sure you put all
Yes.
sizes to look out.
The most dreaded.
We've looked
bid.
at it about 3 times, but there's always going to be one that we missed.
Yes, sir.
We have so many
And I've
vehicles.
talked to other offices, and everybody seems to have looked at it, but yeah, we'll always find one.
Just for the viewing public's pleasure, there is the list of all the tires.
Like I say, if we do come up with one that we do miss on there that's not on the bid, when we go through Teddy and look, see if he can find one that's on state buy board, or one of the buy boards to get it through them.
Yes, sir.
If it's not on our bid list.
Court, any other questions or comments? The only other large purchaser is the Sheriff's Department. Y'all looked over it? Okay. All right. If there's no further discussion, entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Spivey and seconded by Commissioner McCam to approve the 2024 invitation to bid, to approve the invitation to bid for the 2024 tire bid as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor? It passes unanimously. Thank you, sir. That brings us to item 17, which is consider and take action to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Tooley and seconded by Commissioner McCam to adjourn at 10:15. All those in favor of the motion? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much for being with us.